Tonight, a mystery 30 years in the making, with bizarre new details being unearthed by the minute after this Mercedes-Benz was found buried in the backyard of a multi-million-dollar mansion. Landscapers in Atherton, California, say they found the car while working at the home of this $15 million property Thursday. Investigators tied the car to the property's former owner, a man named Johnny Liu, who police say buried the car about 4 feet deep and filled it with bags of concrete after he reported it stolen from a Stanford mall back in 1992. So far, no bodies have been found at the site, but cadaver dogs did make an alert about the possibility of human remains.
It may be a fraud case, maybe a foul play. Hey, it could just be an eccentric who thought it would be fun to bury a car in the ground.
We only think it's an eccentric who could bury a car in the ground if he's a rich eccentric who would bury a car in the ground. If that was anyone else, he'd be like, what did this guy do? Well, let's find out what all he was about as we go through this whole thing. Neighbors are also wondering. They asked, of course, local folks around. This happened back in '92. He dropped that car in the ground with sandbags or some kind of weights. I guess he thought it was gonna float. I'm trying to figure this whole thing out. Also, apparently the neighbors are too, and they have no answers. Let's watch more.
Yeah, I ran into him a few times. You had no idea.
Don Traeger said he only spoke to the home's original owner, Johnny Boktoon Liu, in passing. Now, like most people, he wonders why Liu would report his car stolen in 1992, fill it with several bags of cement, and bury it behind his new 12,600 square foot home.
I think it's crazy. It's like, how could you have a place like this, property value so high, and you're scamming I don't know,
insurance
$8,000 car? It just doesn't make any sense.
Traeger had no idea Liu once told investigators he was involved in organized crime or that he was arrested for the murder of his girlfriend in the 1960s and convicted of attempted murder of another person in 1977. Or about the numerous other run-ins with law, including insurance fraud in the 1990s, involving a plot to sink his own yacht by the Golden Gate Bridge and collect the insurance money.
With that kind of history, you would think the police would want to look in the backyard of someone's house like that and see if there's bodies or a car buried. More details of that rap sheet, you guys, first, before you get to more Jess here. According to court documents, Liu moved to the US from Hong Kong in 1959, marrying his first cousin 2 years later. They lived in San Francisco, followed by LA County, where in '64, he met Karen Gervasi while attending El Camino Junior College. Liu and the young woman had a romantic relationship despite him being married. And in '65, Gervasi died from the woman here died from a gunshot at his apartment. Liu said the 21-year-old had accidentally shot herself, but was found guilty of murder a year later. The conviction was then reversed in 1968. 3 years later, murder. This random woman, not random, but the woman you were dating died in your apartment by a gunshot wound because she was just having fun. Also, he spent 3 years in prison when he was convicted of 2 counts of attempted murder in '77. I think they mentioned that in the video. 3 years for attempted murder, 2 counts. Okay, a little bit more. The San Francisco Chronicle also interviewed his daughter, and she said this: "My father definitely had emotional issues. This wouldn't surprise me just based on how sketchy my father was." Now, they can't ask Liu about it, Jessica, because he died in 2015 of lung cancer. Maybe there's another Mercedes in the backyard. They should keep digging.
Married his first cousin? What? Buried a body in a car in the backyard? And
maybe.
Here's the thing. If this was a working class person or a person of color, it would be like violent criminal, does blah, blah, blah. But instead, it's like, well, he's a little bit eccentric. He's a little bit quirky. That's why he's got bodies. What? What? Are you kidding me? This is how the media is complicit in the dominant narrative around crime in our country. Like, they are totally complicit in parroting this narrative that there are some people in our society that are subject to the laws and other people who are a little eccentric. Are you kidding me? This is disgusting.
They bounce off the wall a little bit. I wonder these things really fast. I've recently been on this train of these abandoned house and abandoned location videos and pictures people have. I forget the last one. I just found it on YouTube. And many of these things are in Eastern Europe, anywhere around Europe. There's just tons of really, really old places because people just leave them. Also in America. But sometimes cars are sinking into the ground. I'm like, what's the story behind this? And many times those look like this pretty nefarious activities as well. I just love this type of stuff. If I had the opportunity, it's one of those things where I would like to travel and search these things out. This one needs to have that kind of story. Someone needs to just go through the whole home and figure out what it was that was happening. I bet they'll find some clues, because there's some things you'll see, and it'd be dusty situations, mold growing up side of the walls, but in the backyard, there's a Mercedes-Benz buried with sandbags. What are the cadaver dogs finding? There's no cadavers, just cadaver dogs. There's something missing here, man. They're not telling us about. I gotta know.
There really is. It's just too weird. Like, there's something going on here. He was a murderer or something. As soon as I saw this story, I was like, oh, there's gonna be a Netflix crime documentary.
Hopefully, better than the Dahmer one, apparently, what people are saying.